I'm Henry, and welcome to another episode of SF Yuppies. I'm here today with Brianna, a four-time Pac-12 champion in javelin throwing and also a principal at Robin Hood. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Just out of curiosity, would you rather look bad and win or look good and lose?
Look bad and win for sure. It's hard to look good when you're throwing a javelin. If you've ever looked at pictures of javelin throwers, they're always, or any thrower I guess, they're always just making like crazy faces.
How did you get into javelin throwing?
Yeah, I get asked that a lot because it's not super common. But I threw in middle school what's called a turbo javelin, and it's not really like a javelin. It's like half the size and plastic, and it's more like a big dart. But I was pretty good at that. I had played softball, so I had a pretty good arm. And then I got into high school, and it was just like a natural progression to throw a real javelin.
Of all the sports that you played, why did you like javelin the most?
The progress, because it's a sport where you have a number and you see that number get bigger and bigger, and it's just really satisfying to see like very tangible progress. I also really like that it's an individual sport. I was able to just count on myself, and it's one of those things where if I lost, it was all on me.
What's something that most people don't know about javelin throwing, or maybe a misconception that people have?
Like a big misconception is that you have to be like this like massive strong person to do it, when that's not always the case. One of those things where you can really get by with like good technique and flexibility and stuff, and you can still throw pretty far.
So how does like a javelin competition work? How many throws are there, and how are the throws being judged?
So it's all about distance, so you want to throw as far as possible. You'll typically have 3 throws in prelims, which is, everybody gets 3 throws who's in the competition. And then out of that, a select few will make finals. So once you're in finals, you'll have 3 more throws. And then at the end, it's just about who has thrown the furthest.
You won the Pac-12 not once, not twice, but 4 times. How were you able to compete at such a high level?
So Pac-12 was something I had my sights on since I was in high school. Ever since I decided I want to go to Stanford, I set that goal for myself. It was definitely the hardest coming into my freshman year because I was a newcomer. There are people that have been throwing for a long time, and there are very good throwers in the Pac-12. So it was a big challenge for me, but it was a goal that I had set and something that I really wanted to do. I'm happy I was able to rise to the occasion and see some good throws. I think after that first one, it became a little easier dealing with like the pressure.
What would you say got you going that freshman year?
I was just having fun with it. I mean, everything was so new and exciting. Javelin, you throw in the spring, and so I had all year to lead up to it, and so I was just ready to get out there and see how far I could throw, especially after training so hard and training in a way that I hadn't trained before. I was really positive about it and just had a good attitude going in. So the meets just get bigger and bigger. And then, at the end of it, I'm competing at an international level, and it was just, I was more excited than anything, to be honest. There were times I felt pressure, of course, but I think more than anything, I was just excited to get out there and see what I could do.
What would you say is the most intense time that you went through?
So the competition that I'm most proud of, that I also think was the most intense of my collegiate career, was my last meet, which was my last Pac-12 championship, my senior year in 2015. The reason it was so intense for me is not because it was the biggest meet I'd ever been at. I'd been at bigger meets. It was because of where I was at the time. I had an elbow injury, so I wasn't able to throw for a while. So going into it, I was defending 3 titles. So I was expected to win. It was, I knew it could quite possibly be my last collegiate meet because of the injury. So I came into the meet pretty cold, and my first 6 throws in a meet. So my first 5 throws, I was in 3rd place. It was really hard for me to stay focused and to stay positive when I knew that my elbow hurt really bad and I was struggling. So it was definitely a big mental hurdle for me to just stay focused on the next throw. And I kept telling myself, you still have throws left. You still have throws left. You'll be fine. You still have throws left. And then it came time for the last one. But I told myself, like, hey, I'm focused and aggressive under pressure, and I can pull it out. I know I can. And I put everything that I had into that last throw. It was almost like it was like slow motion. Like I can still like think back and think of like every frame of that throw. It was very intense emotionally, and especially after the meet, it was very bittersweet because I knew my collegiate career was over, but I had ended up with this title that I was really proud of because of where I was at coming into the meet. It was just something that it was tough for me to get through.
What would you say is the most important aspect of throwing a javelin?
So there's a lot of things that go into it, obviously. I've always approached my training with this philosophy that there's different like categories of fitness that can be measured. So strength, flexibility, speed, mental preparation, and technique. So I always kind of like use these to measure where I was at, and I think they're all very important.
What would you say separated you from the others of those 5 categories?
I think one of my strengths was definitely my my mental game or my mental preparation. It's just something that I really cared about. I studied psychology, and I was really into that. So and I think that's something that a lot of people miss because coaches are all focused on like setting you up physically, but a lot of people aren't prepared when it comes to like bigger meets because it can be it's a lot to take in mentally, and especially doing a sport where you're up there by yourself and you do one thing that lasts a split second. It's really important to have that mental toughness.
If you were in Hunger Games, would you pick javelin as your weapon of choice?
No way. There's no chance. I think it's just impractical. You have one chance. It might be great for like hunting or something, but I think like a bow and arrow would be more practical.
You know the history of javelin?
It was one of the original events in the Olympic Games, and there actually used to be an accuracy component as well, so people would throw at targets as well as for distance. There's no accuracy component now it's just for distance.
How far do you think you can throw that is accurate?
That's really tough. It's really hard to be accurate because they are so small. I mean, it depends how big the target is. If the target's tiny, there's like no chance.
So you could probably kill someone with a javelin if they're 50 meters away.
I hope not.
Yeah, I think that's good. I don't think we're missing anything. Bow and arrow in Hunger Games. Killing people with javelin.
Killing people with javelin.
I think I can stop it here.
Cool.